Hello and welcome back, and happy weekend if you're watching this just as this is released on a Sunday. I've been having a really nice weekend. I'm filming this day before on the Saturday, and we've just had Ofsted have been and gone through our school, and I think it went really well. We've got to wait and see when the report comes out in a couple of weeks, but it's been a long time coming. We've done a lot of preparation for it. We've been due ever since January, and it's now May, and they've finally been, and so it's been a really nice weekend. I think they finished on Thursday, so we had Friday in school getting ready for the Jubilee next week, and now I've just had a weekend to kind of relax and take a few deep breaths and think about what I'm going to be doing as a teacher over the next half term. We've got one more week before half term, and then after half term we've got 6.5 weeks before we're off for summer. So it's about thinking about what we're going to be doing for those weeks. And I have kind of realised that as a teacher I'm going to really strip it back and make sure I'm focusing on the basics. I'm doing the basics right, and everything will kind of flow from there. Now that Ofsted have gone, we have got a lot of things where actually I'm going to have a bit more time to focus on other areas that I've maybe not focused on for the last few months, because we're getting ready for the Ofsted and for the inspection, make sure everything was ready for that. So as part of that, I thought about what are the actual basic things to do with teaching, what the day-to-day roles teachers have to fill. And so I thought, I'd share with you my thoughts about the day-to-day responsibilities of a teacher, what they actually have to do every single day. And to start off with, as a teacher, well, it might sound simple, but you're going to be teaching every single day from about 9 o'clock till about 3 o'clock. If you include when children come into school, like our school starts a bit earlier than 9 o'clock, and there's some time in the classroom before you do the register at 9. So you're in charge of a group of children for about 6.5 hours every single day. And that time is there for you to teach them, and it's teaching them about, maths and English and science and geography and history. It's also teaching them emotionally, teaching them how to be good people, teaching them manners, and just everything kind of encompasses under that teaching role. You are a teacher, you're there to teach them, and they're hopefully there to listen to you and learn, and it all kind of works from there. If you're there understanding them and teaching well, then everything should be fine. And that kind of might sound straightforward, like obviously a teacher is there to teach, but it does take up a huge amount of your time. The whole point of being at school, you don't really get anything else done from the hours of 9 o'clock till 3 o'clock apart from getting on with your teaching, because all the children are and they're ready to learn. So once you've got that out of the way, it's kind of like, okay, so what else does a teacher do? What else do they do when they're not teaching? Because most teachers I know work from about 7 o'clock in the morning to about 4 or 5 o'clock at night. And it's like, okay, there's a lot of hours there. There's another 4 hours potentially where what are they doing in that time? So to start off with, probably something that teachers are going to do every single day is marking work. Now at my school we do really well with our marking, and that means that we do live feedback and we give feedback to the children. We mark the work while the children are doing it. So every single lesson while they're doing their work, I'll be wandering around checking the work as they do it, fixing any misconceptions I see, fixing any mistakes, and doing it there and then. And so that's something I do during the hours of 9 till 3, and I don't mark after school, I don't mark before school. Very rare that I have a stack of books to look at, if ever really, and I think it works really well. But yeah, marking is something that teachers do every day, and you also will probably do a bit of planning every day. So the time I do that changes depending on what day it is. I'll do it in my PPA, so from about 1 o'clock in the afternoon to about 3 o'clock on Sundays when I have my planning time. There's other weeks where I'll do it in the morning, and I generally get up and start working about 5 o'clock in the morning. So I'll do some work then, and I'll make sure that I get kind of all that stuff done in the morning that I need to do. I might be looking at the next week, the week after that, but I'll just get some done then, or I'll do it after school in an evening once I get home, spend some time with the family, and I'll do some work later on in the evening. And that is just something where it's not every single day, but most days I will have a look at some kind of planning, some kind of thoughts about the future, about what's going to come up. That doesn't just mean making lesson slides, that means planning trips, planning events, planning people coming in to work with the children. We've got some people from the local football club coming in from the first day back after half term to do some work with the year 5 and year 6 in my school, and I've been planning that and making sure that fits in with everyone's timetables. And so yeah, there's a bit of planning every day. We have to plan ahead. The next, and again one of the most important things about being a teacher, is you are communicating. You have to communicate with the children well while you're teaching. You have to communicate with the parents, you have to communicate with other teachers, because you are working as a team and you're working all together. And by working team, you are working with the parents, you are working with the children. If you don't work together with the other people around you, then you're not really going to achieve much in your role as a teacher. So when a child does really well, you want to make sure that you're communicating with the parents and saying, you know what, they've done really well today, they've worked really hard, big them up, because the next day they'll be more likely to come and want to do really well again. Same thing with something that hasn't gone quite well. Talk to the parents and explain to them why it's not gone well and what you're going to do to fix it. Don't just complain and say they've had a really rubbish day, but talk about maybe the reasons why that might have happened and how you can go about together tomorrow, working together to make it better, working with you and the parent and the children all together to make sure that you're doing the very best for them. And then communicating with other teachers. So you always want to make sure the teachers around you, especially if you're working in a year where there's 2 classes that are working together, because obviously you'll be trying to teach the same thing at the same time, so you have to make make sure you're on a level together. If you're in a school like mine where it's one form entry, you want to make sure you're talking to the teachers around you, maybe in the year below, the year above, making sure you know what they're teaching, what you're teaching, how everything kind of runs together from one year group to the next, so you know you're preparing them for the next year group efficiently, and that they're going to be ready to hit the next level, hit the next bit of progress that they need. So definitely communication with the people around you is massive. Now, one of the biggest things about teaching is you're there to safeguard. You're there to safeguard the children, you're there to safeguard the staff, you're there to safeguard whoever's around you and yourself. And you are there to keep people safe. You're keeping the children safe, you're keeping yourself safe, you're keeping the adults around you safe, and that is just a massive part of being a teacher, and it's one of your responsibilities every single day. No matter what you're doing, your first thought has to be, is everyone going to be safe? Is everyone going to be happy? Can everybody do this? And making sure you are doing that safeguarding role. It's such a massive thing, and when officers do come in like they have just done for us, they do ask about safeguarding. Make sure you know about the contextual safeguarding in your school, in the local area, about how you would handle a safeguarding incident, about what you would do in certain situations. They are really up on the safeguarding because it is so important that you are keeping everyone safe in your school, not just the children but the staff, yourself. And so that you need to make sure you're on top of all the updates that come out to things like the Keeping Children Safe in Education documents, but also that you are just focusing on it every single time you do something. Now, that doesn't mean you have to fill in forms, it doesn't mean you have to have a checklist of things to go through, but just think, whenever you do something, is this suitable, is this right, is this the right thing for the class as a whole, taking into account all the children in your class, all the adults in your class, all their backgrounds, where they've come from, what's going on in their own lives. It's a big task, and something you have to think about in everything you do, but when you get it right and everything's working well and together, then it goes really, really well. Another big one that teachers have to do, and they'll do these every single week, if not twice a week, is they have meetings. So every single week a teacher will have a staff meeting where they'll sit with the other members of the staff, and it'll be on a certain topic, and they'll be doing some development and developing their teaching, or they'll be catching up on things that have happened, things that are about to happen coming up soon, making sure they're doing some professional development and developing everyone's work as a whole. They might be getting ready, like we've done a lot of staff meetings, get ready for Ofsted. They might be checking on their documentation, making sure that's up to date, their subject leadership. There's all sorts of things that go on in staff meetings, and they happen every single week. So it's about making sure that you're ready for the meetings. If you've been asked to prepare anything, do it ready in advance, so when you get to the meeting you're ready, just get going. And making sure that when you are asked to do something in a meeting, you know, I have to write it down or note it down somewhere on an iPad, on a piece of paper, just so I remember what I have to do, because I'm brilliant with a list, but if I don't have a list, then I have a habit of forgetting things and forgetting what I need to do, so I make sure I jot everything down. So you have all those meetings in your staff meetings, your inter-school meetings. Sometimes you have things like moderations or meetings across your academy trust, or with schools you work with in the local authority area. And then there'll also be kind of professional development meetings where you'll go, and I'm geography and ICT subject lead, so I'll go and have a geography meeting or a computing meeting, and it'll just be about developing our subject in our schools and how to work on it, how to make it the better. So all these things kind of encompass what being a teacher is. They're all things that you have to do every single day. I'm sure there's loads of things that I've not mentioned as well that you just kind of do as a teacher, but they're just things that when you want to become a teacher, or if you guys want to become a teacher, think, what is it a teacher actually does? These are all things that we do every single day, and you just kind of get on with them. You don't really think about whether or not there's something that you are doing as in consciously. You just kind of, once you get used to doing it subconsciously, you're just doing all these things all at once. And that's why teaching is one of those jobs that does take a lot of effort, it does take a lot of energy out of you. And that's why this weekend, now that Ofsted have been, I've kind of taken a step back and gone, okay, let's kind of refresh, rethink about how we're going to do things, how we're going to do things over the next few years before, hopefully it might be another 4 years before they come back. So how we're going to do things over that time, and making sure we're still keeping up those standards that we've set, but also doing things that are there for the children, doing the fun things that we're really looking forward to as well. So hopefully this helped you guys, and you kind of see what goes on in a teacher's world. And as always, a new video on a Tuesday, Friday and a Sunday. And if you've got any questions, stick them in the comments down below and I will answer them as soon as I can. I'll see you very soon.